So things are really shaping up for this Snow White movie that just came out. Things have been interesting. It opened up in a way that was expected by a lot of people and and what was unexpected by a lot of people. Like I mean, it opened to around $43 million, somewhere around that range, which if it was a smaller scale film wouldn't actually be too bad. But this is a film with a budget of over $200 million. I think around like 250 million on the low end. And keep in mind, this is before marketing. That doesn't include marketing. So the general rule of thumb that's always been in practice for Hollywood is that whatever the budget is, you multiply it by two, and that to include its marketing, and that's generally how much you get overall. So really, it's like over 500, around $500 million on the low end to make this movie. So to open with only $40 million, that's really bad, and it was kind of expected with that for it to open around that range or to perform that way. And what I mean by that is, you all know the history with this movie. You know, we've got Rachel Zegler making all those comments about the original Snow White film, about how it's very dated, called the prince a stalker, talked about really undermined the love story, and just really was just absolutely annihilating the film, or rather attempting to. It basically, she was shitting on it. And then so not only that, then you had Peter Dinklage causing the controversy with the dwarves, saying that, just marring the fact that they're still using the dwarves in that role, and that he's tried to really help the reputation of actors with dwarfism. And then which caused Disney to try to avoid negative PR by just using CG dwarves, which really not which only hindered it even more, because it took out a lot. It took out work that any actor with dwarfism really could have used, in all honesty. Um. And then you have the Gal Gadot stuff, where she had to get where it actually just came out now. She needed to have security wrapped up because she was receiving death threats based on Ziegler's attempt at adding political commentary to the movie, which, unless it's a political based film, any studio wouldn't want any of that in there. So I don't know what she was thinking with making a statement like that, but you know, she made her choices, and she's got to live with her choices. Whether you agree with them or not, personally, I don't, which I guess is kind of obvious, but those are the expected things with why this movie isn't doing so well. The unexpected thing would be how it's going with the critics. Like, Rotten Tomatoes isn't even doing it all too well either. Like, let me go ahead and pull up the rating real quick for it, for Snow White. I'm just whipping it out on my phone real quick. Rotten Tomatoes, it's currently sitting at a... Whoo, boy, that is not as great as I anticipated. It's currently sitting at an all critics score of 42%, top critics of 29%, with a verified audience score of 74, which seems nice until you get to all audience, which 19%. Yikes. That's not, given how it's been performing at the box office, I'd say the all audience is more of a indicator. But anyways, which the reason we're here today, all that rambling aside, all the history and lore aside, it's now being reported with this Forbes article here and a bunch of other articles, like there's one over at That Park Place is talking about it, Deadline is talking about it, which this article actually cites, with how Snow White is projected to drop 53% more in its second weekend. Now, this article is done by Tim Lammers. This is a guy that's been in the industry for around 30 years. He's only been at Forbes since, I think, March of last year. But he's been around the industry for 30 years, doing a lot of interviews, print news media. He's a very credible guy in this industry, I feel. So, that way, at least, it's definitely make sure to check out more articles by him. That he's not sponsoring me in any way. I doubt he even know. He doesn't. There's a zero chance he knows who I am. So, but anyway, I'm just some random guy on YouTube. But anyway, yeah, he published this last night, and it just talks about the controversy surrounding the movie and how Deadline is projecting that it's going to drop to around 53% to a $20 million to $20 million in its second weekend. It goes over the budgeting constraints, which, good lord, 270 million is the high end. Oh, that'd be around 540 million. Yeah, if we account for marketing on that. That's not great. But yeah, Deadline is projecting that it's going to drop by another 53% to add 20 million to that to the global box office, which means it'll be at around 62 million for its take, at least based on what is reported here, which oh boy, that's not great. And even then, that's just Deadline supporting. Others are saying it's going to be even worse. Like it even talks about right here. Box Office Pro estimates that it's actually going to be somewhere between 17 million on the low end or 25 million on the high end. So it could actually be worse than a 53% drop off, which, I mean, look, in my opinion too, with these live action remakes, Disney, there really isn't a point to do them. You already have the animated ones. If you really wanted to, just re-release the animated ones in theaters every so often. I'm sure you'd have people show up. At least then you're making more money off of it. At least to me, that'd be the more feasible way. But I mean, even then, that's not just me being a blind hater for all the live action ones. I liked the Beauty and the Beast one. Didn't really care much for any of the other ones, or particularly thought they added anything. They just seemed kind of soulless to me. And then the Lilo and Stitch one, I'm actually looking forward to. It looks like they're treating that one really, really well in comparison to the animated version. So I'm definitely going to go see that one when that comes out soon. And definitely, whoever's watching, be sure to go check it out as well. But otherwise, it's talking about, at least for good news as well for Snow White, is that there's an expectation that it's going to beat the other 5 films that are coming out this weekend as well. Though I'm interested to see how that expectation is going to hold up, because you've got the Jason Statham movie coming out, A Working Man, which it's Jason Statham. It draws a lot. A lot of dudes are going to go see his action movies, and there's some ladies that'll want to go see his movies as well. My girlfriend in particular is one example. Then there's Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd, Death of a Unicorn, their horror comedy. A lot of people like Paul Rudd and a lot of people like Jenna Ortega, so it'll be interesting to see how those go. Really wish they'd promote those ones though, or promote those ones more than they already are anyway. And I mean, they have smaller budgets in the Snow White movie, at least as far as I'm aware, so there's not as much pressure on them to perform as well as this one was. But if Snow White manages to beat those on their second weekend, then at least it has some positive. It can walk away with some sort of victory. Because I mean, this article even talks about here, they're targeting, A Working Man at least is targeting 10 to 12 million on its opening. And Death of a Unicorn is targeting 5 to 7 million. At least that's what Deadline's projecting. Whereas Box Office Pro, they're going that both could be between the 10 to 15 million dollar range. So it's not that much. So for Box Office Pro, it's not that much of a difference than Snow White's second weekend. So there is a chance it could actually surprise everyone's expectations and surpass it. But we'll just have to wait and see. But at least there's one positive for Snow White, that it's expected to beat those movies, as well as other movies like The Woman in the Yard, Universal's movie, or The Chosen, or The Penguin Lessons, which definitely, I'm a purporter of seeing movies in theaters. I understand it's expensive with everything going on nowadays, but definitely support whatever you can see given the opportunity if you have the opportunity to go do it. But yeah, otherwise, I just thought the article was interesting. Just wanted to give a brief rundown of it and go through the history and lore of this movie and how its production was. And just kind of try this out as its own deal. There are a couple comments here, which I took a look at earlier. These are kind of funny. She's box office poison by this anonymous Forbes user. She's box office poison. I am glad that the apple didn't get infected by her venom, which I mean, if you want to consider the movie The Apple, it most certainly did, but harsh she blows. Oh man, this movie just can't catch a break. But I mean, it's its own fault. I feel bad for just about everyone else involved, but anyways, hopefully for Rachel Ziegler's case, she learns her lesson. She can at least either bounce back in some smaller roles for movies or kick off on her music career. Because say what you want about her, she is a great musician. She can sing really well, so hopefully she can at least bounce back with that. And most importantly, learn her lessons about just keeping her mouth shut and keeping her politics in her pocket with a lot when it comes to promoting a movie, especially just a random Disney movie like Snow White. But grandstanding out of the way, thank you all for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you're from. And if you like what you see here, definitely feel free to stick around. Bye bye.